Good afternoon, Todd. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well.
Fantastic.
How are you?
Fantastic. I've been working my butt off this week.
What?
Yeah, I know. Working too hard.
Yeah? Why? What'd you do?
Yeah.
What are you working on? What's going on?
Well, we started our big project this week, and so we've been doing protection. So I know protection is like, guys will start a project, they'll throw some plastic down and they go to town.
Yeah.
Well, ours, we go quite the extra mile. So we're in the middle of it right now, and we're slated for the whole week is protection.
A week
Taking
of
us the whole week
protection.
to do it. Yeah.
That's a lot of protection.
Okay, crazy.
Yeah.
I know, but it's well worth it. Well, that whole
You will
ounce
hear
of
no
prevention.
argument. Yep.
Yeah.
You will hear no argument from me.
Right. Yeah. So
How many times did I come back to bite you in the ass at the end of a project where, this is scratched or dented or broken or whatever it might be. So absolutely. If it takes a week, so be it. Peace of mind at the end and saves you uncomfortable conversations and all kinds of crap.
So we don't have to redo their hardwood floors after the whole project is done?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm big on protection too. I tried to hire my demo crew to do protection, and I just, I'm not confident that they're capable of doing it at the level that I want it done at.
Yeah, they're probably not. I don't know your demo crew, but they're probably not.
I know. I'm just worried, and
yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? It's your liability. You're the contractor.
Right.
It's your baby, right?
Right.
I operate in the same fashion. I'm doing a project. My demo crew, they do demo. They don't do prep. They don't do deconstruction.
Right.
There's 2 layers there before I let them on a project. I don't even want them taking out an old faucet and just taking things apart. Nope. I'll get all that stuff done. You come in and do demo and get rid of all of it. Yeah. They do a great job at that, though.
That's good.
Yeah.
So
what are we working on? This is the big project. What's the, general scope of work here? What are we doing? A kitchen?
General scope of work
house remodel?
is not the whole house. We're doing kitchen, bathroom, mud room, laundry room, hardwood floors in the kitchen. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
It's a nice project. Yeah.
Yeah. Kitchen, bathroom, laundry, mudroom.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna build a deck on the back after we're close to the end. They've added that interest, and I think we might add that on to at the end, but we're not.
Don't do that.
We're not sold on that yet.
Yeah. You don't want to do that.
No.
We've talked about deck building.
I'm not building the deck.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I have my framer that I use. He specializes in outdoor decks and outdoor living spaces. He just loves doing that. Like, that's what his focus is. So
beautiful.
I'll just bring him. Yeah, he's doing the framing on this project, so he'll already be part of it. So
that's perfect.
Sweet. Let's just add that onto your scope. And
yeah, that's his jam. Let him have it. Absolutely. Yeah, you won't catch me building a deck.
No, not anymore. At one point, we thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Supposedly. What's going on with you?
I am trying to get a permit for a cut and paste kitchen. I mean, when I say cut and paste, I mean literally the layout is staying 98% the same. The only thing that's happening is we're moving the refrigerator to the other side of a bank of cabinets. So in this day and age, you want a dedicated circuit for your refrigerator, right? So fine, I'm bringing my licensed electrician in so we can add a dedicated circuit. for the refrigerator. That is literally the only thing that is changing in the entire layout of the kitchen. All the other outlets are staying where they're at. Light fixtures are staying where they're at. Cabinets are staying where they're at. This is it's a cut and paste kitchen. Appliances are staying, obviously, exception of the fridge, like I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on the building department, that local municipality. I'll leave them out of it for now until it gets really bad. Then I'll throw them under the bus. But for now, on their website, it says if the layout is staying the same, you do not need a permit. So I showed that to my client and said, it says we don't need a permit if the layout's staying the same. We are technically moving the refrigerator over 4 feet. So whatever. It's a condo building, so it goes through the HOA to get approval to even do this. So the whole back and forth was the HOA wanted something from the building department stating that we did not require a permit. I said, they're probably going to want one just because we're at least adding that dedicated outlet for the fridge. Sure enough, they did. So in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I have never had a building department actually tell you verbatim what they told me. They said a cover page listing all of the village's adopted codes must be part of the plans. Now, I've never had a building department ever tell me that.
Codes.
Why am I responsible for submitting the codes that you are enforcing? Isn't that your job?
Because you got to do their job for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that just seems so odd to me. Like, you have an inspector come in. Go ahead.
They want you to list the codes that are
I'm not even
pertinent
sure
to your project.
I'm honestly not even sure. And I actually emailed them back. I said, can you please clarify? And I told them I had to write a rough draft and then I had to rewrite it because I didn't want to sound like a complete ass.
I bet you did.
Because I was a little bit probably aggressive in my first email, which was just kind of like, and I said, in the 20 years I've been doing this, I've never had a building department ask me for this. So I said politely, I said, could you please clarify what you're asking me to supply for this permit? I said, are you just asking for, yes, we are adhering to residential code, building code, National Electric Code, or are you asking for specific codes and I'm supposed to list those because those are pertinent to the project? You know what I mean? I don't know what you're asking me for exactly.
Right.
So
I'm not quite sure
I asked them to clarify. It's been 2 days and no one has clarified with me. So next step for me is I'm just going to print out everything I have, put it in a nice little packet, go into the building department and say, look, I'm literally doing the smallest kitchen remodel on the planet. It's 70 square feet. It's tiny. Why are you giving me so much grief here? I'm like, this is absurd. This is absurd.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But that's how I spent 2 hours of my morning today, was just going through all this list of BS that I need to get a permit. And they wonder why people try to go around the system.
I don't wonder at all. I know exactly why people don't get permits. It's just ridiculous. So
I've had clients tell me that how many times. They've dealt with the building department before and they don't want to do it again. You know?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. I'm there with you. Well, we'll have to stay tuned and you'll have to let us know how that turns out because I'm not 100% sure what they want from you. So good luck.
Thank you.
I think they just want you to do their job so they don't have to work.
That's what it sounds like.
Why don't you tell me what I need to look for in your project?
And also pay me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then pay me. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Wow. Well, here we go again. Renovation Situation Podcast, where we pull back the complex layers of this industry. I'm Joe. Grab your beverage of choice. Todd. I think we're going to talk about, I got some video on the job site video of doing jam extensions for an interior door. This house I was working on a couple weeks ago, it had plaster walls and it had really, really, really high knockdown texture. And they had the homeowners bought it and they had painters come through and sand it all down, skim coat it, and smooth out the walls. Well, so what has happened is because of plaster walls and then the sanding and then the skim coating, the depth of the walls when you're installing a new door is just funky and wonky and pain in the butt. Not to mention the old house, so the walls aren't perfectly plumb. So you kind of have to like try to do your best at leveling out the door. So that means at the end of the day, when you go to put trim on the wall, like your casing is the trim that goes vertical around the door on the wall, that might not line up perfect or great. And you'll see what we mean in the video.
Yeah.
So I got some action shots. I think we're going to try something different with the podcast here and bring you on to the, well, I'm going to bring the job site to you. How's that?
Yeah. Action shots.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you want to give it a go? And then Todd could be the commentary of the whole thing and
nice.
Tell us what we're all doing wrong.
Okay. Happy to.
All right. Here we go.
I got to vent somehow. I can't vent to the building department, so I got to vent somehow.
Sure. So in this series of a jam extension and how do we do it, here's the door we're going to be working on today. And let's roll.
Single panel pre-hung door that we're putting in here. Single recess panel pre-hung door.
At 2 panels.
Oh, is it 2 panel? I didn't see the
2 panel. Yep. You could kind of see
that is some funky plaster.
Yeah. But look, when you go to put the casing on, yeah, 1/2 inch right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have this 1/2 inch gap if you try to put that on the wall. So how do you fill that? So look, down there, that's 1/4 inch. So it's like 1/2 inch down to 1/4, right? That's just ugly.
Yep. Yes.
Ugly.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Extension jambs. And in this instance, it's going to be tapered extension jambs.
Yeah, it's kind of like building it's kind of like building one big giant shim, right?
It's exactly what it is, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to build a big giant shim. So here's my trusty table saw.
You got your DeWalt table saw set up?
Dude, I love that table saw. Love that table saw.
Agreed. I loved your table saw so much that I went and bought one.
You sold your table saw.
I sold my Bosch. My Bosch was twice as heavy as that thing and did not have that nice rack and pinion or geared kind of fence that the DeWalt has.
Nice. All right. So what I did there is I ripped down so we're going to be building the top shim right at the moment. The horizontal part, right? The top. Yeah, yeah. You'll see. We're going to kind of try to make that into a shim. So I started with the largest 1/2 inch diameter. And now I'm going to try to shave down one side to 3/8 inch. And the other side is going to stay at the 1/2. And
now, when you started with this extension jam, you're going to put that factory edge against your existing jam, against your pre-hung jam, and then you're going to plane the outer side of that. That's going to plane through with your plaster wall, right?
Yeah.
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 So you want to keep your factory edge in towards your jam, and then you're going to plane down however much you need to. If we need a planing 101, we can offer that. But essentially, you're going to plane from, like you said, 1/2 inch down to 3/8. And that's going to give you not only that tapered look, but it's going to give you if you have a nice blade in your planer and you're doing that on really small increments, it's going to give you a nicer finish than your table saw blade is.
Yes. 100%. Your table saw, you're going to get all swiggly lines.
Yeah. You get that kerf mark all the way through. So
Right.
the planer's going to take the majority of that out.
Right. And then after you probably won't see it, but after I'm done monkeying around with this shim, and as you can tell, it takes forever. You know, I'm trying to build a shim
64th
here.
of an inch, 32nd of an inch increments.
Yeah. 32nd. I start at 32nd, and then I come down to 64 when I'm trying to get just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
After I'm done with that, I'll take the sander, the orbital sander that you saw me throw on the floor there, after I got down to my line.
Mm-hmm.
And I will sand the edge nice and clean, and there you go. And then also kind of bevel the edge just so it's not so crisp.
Just ease that a little
so
bit.
It matches.
Just prevents the tear out a little bit too.
Yeah.
I like it. And what are we working with? What are you making these extension jams out of?
MDF.
What material? MDF?
MDF. Yeah.
Gross.
Not my favorite, but you know.
Hey, sand's easy, paint's well.
Yeah. That we use in the Pacific Northwest here, we use a ton of MDF. I just don't see like actual real wood or pine or fir or anything like that.
It's more and more common here too.
Yeah.
It's more and more common here too. It's majority MDF everything. People like the dimensional stability, they like the paintability, the sandability.
Gross.
It doesn't open up and show graining like natural wood does. So yeah. It's the favorite and cost effective. It's the favorite here too for the most part. All right, so extension jam's done.
Just the top one, right? So now we got to install it. So we just made that extension jam, and now we're gonna place it onto the jam. Line it up.
So you're lining this up above the jam. This is set back to create a little bit of a reveal. Why are we doing this?
I do it because I think you should, and I think it gives a way better look. When you're trying to like keep everything all flush, it's gross. I mean, if you ask me, it's just gross, man.
I agree. It just creates a seam. Yeah,
it creates a seam
that you're trying to fill and sand and
it's
paint.
Not going to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Just leave a reveal. Also, what you saw there, I'll replay it again. What you saw me doing there also is I was tacking it in with a little pinner. So it only because it was convenient for me. Like you could shoot it with pneumatic nailing gun, which is what I use to put the casing on, but it's overkill, right? And the nails are too long. It's just ridiculous
when you're shooting the casing on.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm just tacking it in for right now. Keep it in place.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
All right.
And that I think also creates a nice, like you said, it's gross when you line those up and try to flush that up to a jam if you're putting the extension on there. It's nice that it creates that kind of that extra stepped layer. Adds a little something when you're putting your casing onto that. Just another little layer.
Yeah. Right. And so, let's see. All right. So on the right side is 1/2 inch, and on the left side is 3/8 of an inch. And that's what we were trying to fill. So basically what we're trying to do is just push the jam out flush to that wall, to the plane of the wall. That way, when we go to put our casing on, it'll have something nice and flat to nail to and to fill that gap.
Right. Yeah. You don't want a 1/4 inch gap in there and then you just caulk it 14 times and paint it.
Right. So now I'm building the sides, and you can see how I'm starting with 1/2 inch. And you can see I'm cutting a 1/2 inch all the way across, but you can see my blue line and how much I'm going to have to plane off
Right.
to build that shim. Now,
Good job.
right, that
Good job
shim
using the push stick.
and not my fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're going to start at your thickest point and run that through the table saw, and then plane the rest to that point.
That's right. Now, what you could do is if you have a lot of meat, so let's say, so I was going down to, I think I was going down to 1/4 of an inch. So it was like 1/2 inch to 1/4 was on the right side of the door. On the left side of the door, I was going 3/8 to 1/4. And you're going like, that's a big shim, right? It's the whole thing. Now, if you were doing something bigger, like let's say you were doing something like I had to fill an inch down to 3/8 of an inch or something like that, where you had a lot of meat, right? You could run it through the table saw at an inch and then go back through that table saw. Or what you could do is use the table saw and freehand on the table saw and just get like close to the line, but not touch the line, not go over the line, obviously. Just get close to the line so you can rip off a lot of that meat. It's going to be a squiggly line. But that's where the planer comes in, which is what I believe, which is what you're going to see next. Me using the planer here, which you saw earlier as well. But you got to plane down the whole thing down to that line so you can get that profile right and make my big giant shim.
And that's what that planer is going to do, right? That's the actual base or the plate of that planer is, I mean, they're usually, I don't know, 9 inches long, 10 inches long. I'm not exactly sure how long that plate is.
Yeah, something like that.
But because it's spanning that much when you're planing that piece, it is also evening that out. So like to your point, you said you'd have, if you're that squiggly line, if you're kind of freehanding it through a little bit of that table saw, that planer is going to even that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually.
Right. Eventually. That's why you're using the planer.
Yeah.
To keep it flat. So it sits flat up against the casing and or the jam. Like that's the whole purpose, right?
And every carpentry teacher, table saw manufacturer, OSHA or OSHA like entity will tell you to not freehand anything in a table saw.
Right.
But who were we kidding?
That's true. That's true.
Who were we kidding?
As you can see, I'm struggling with a stupid hose.
Some of my best work has been through freehanding stuff through a table saw. So
there you go.
That hose does not want to stay, huh?
I'm gonna knock over the camera. No, that hose did not want to stay. Keep fighting it.
And what is that hose connected to? What do you have that hose connected to?
A shop vac underneath the table. A Festool shop vac.
I like that. I like that you're using that even outside cuts. You're still using that.
Well, yeah, man. You don't want to make a mess all over the people's patio, right?
Everything. People's patio, your clothes, your lungs, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate, yeah. You know, there was a cousin of mine when I first got into this business, many years ago. I was like, man, I don't want to be a contractor. I don't want to be all dirty and nasty. And he's like, you could be a contractor. You don't have to be like dirty.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. I could be, at least I could be as clean as one can be, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference with everything.
Yeah.
Clean
what
job
are we doing
site,
next? All right. So we're
Go ahead.
Putting these jam extensions on, and that's on the left side. And you just saw me build that one, right? So we just got done planing that down.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is the 3/8 to a quarter, and I just knocked over the camera. So it's fun trying to videotape yourself doing stuff, you guys. It's amazing.
And your quick side note, you're fine doing these like you did, just as a butt cut. You're just watching your reveals. You're just staying on your reveal mark. There's no need to miter these when you're putting these in. It's a waste of time. So just butt cut like that.
You're do that.
Not going to see that outside edge.
Right. Once it's all caulked and painted, really, I mean, yeah, fine. All right. Next one. All right, so this is showing you, this is the reason why we did all that work. See now?
Planes through, nice and easy.
Now when we go to put that casing on, it's gonna sit nice and flush. Right? There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very nice. Very nice. Bravo.
That's why we did that now, to fill that gap and get those jam extensions out to plane out to the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
Putting your casing on.
That's right.
Marking your reveal for your casing, because you're going to do the same thing. Same reason as we don't put the extension jam even to the door jam. We also don't want to put the casing even to the extension jam. We want to reveal there as well. And you can use your combination square. You can use a nice little jig like Joe made here, but you want to do that. So for the same reason, you're not going to create an ugly joint that's flushed up and you're trying to fill or caulk or paint or whatever. It's never going to look good. So you step that back a little bit. It adds a little bit of a detail and it's a nice clean finish.
Yeah. I made the little jig out of just leftover scrap on the, that was on the job site. I just put a couple little dabs of CA glue on there, and I had it made in 30 seconds, ready to go.
Perfect. Yeah.
And
throw it right in the
that was my little tool. That was my little tool for like 2 weeks, because I did the whole house. The whole house, all the doors were like this. It was like every door. It was
plaster walls.
Days, man. Days making this.
Yeah. Plaster walls.
All right, so you want to see the end result?
Of course.
Yeah. A little drum roll, please.
Of course.
All right. Boom.
Wait, do we have
casing is on.
We should have a drum roll sound effect.
All right. Let's share the end result.
My God, talk about suspense.
I'm telling you. Worth it. There you go.
There we go.
Filled the gap. We did it. So now we have a nice, clean, and another nice thing about the reveal is it gives the painters a nice spot to caulk. Yes. I mean, you know how hard it is to caulk a flat surface with you're trying to, forget it. Don't. Gross.
No.
Gross.
It'll never look right.
Not going to look right.
It'll never look right. No.
Well, I hope that was helpful, everybody. That's how I do jam extensions. I do those on doors. I do those on windows. Anytime that we're trying to put casing on the wall and we have that gap in between the jam and the surface of the wall. I don't know. Todd, do you approve?
That's not only how you do it, that's how it's done. Yes.
That's how it's done.
That's how it's done professionally, without question.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Until next time. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.